Are you interested in the struggles of our children and the struggles that they face in the American classroom each and every day? Well, let me tell you about the first season of Teach the Babies with Dr. David Johns. It examines the impact of one of the most consequential Supreme Court cases of all time. I'm talking Brown v. the Board of Education. In each and every episode, Dr. David Johns talks to incredible educators and leaders as they all grapple with the question, has Brown's promise been fulfilled? Let me tell y'all something about Dr. David Johns. First of all, he's my friend. He is one of the most brilliant and revolutionary leaders of our community and society at large, and I truly, truly mean that. This brother is deep, and he is absolutely emphatically impassioned about our babies. This is a can't-miss deep dive into one of the most important issues facing our country, which is teaching our babies. And y'all should know that before he was a revolutionary national leader, David Johns started his career where? In the classroom, actually teaching the elementary school babies. I want you to like, subscribe, and share, and most importantly, listen as Dr. Johns and his guest explore these questions with you. You can find Teach the Babies with Dr. David Johns wherever you listen to podcasts.
They're back. Verizon Small Business Days are here, October 14th to the 20th. Meet with our experts, get one-on-one advice, a free tech check, and special offers, like a free 5G phone when you switch. Don't miss out. Call 1-800-483-4428 or go to verizon.com/smallbusiness. Offer available for select 5G phones. New device payment purchase agreement and select Biz Unlimited plan required. Credit applied over agreement term up to 36 months. Terms apply. Limited time offer.
Hey, podcast listeners. Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy by downloading the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free news. That's amazon.com/ad-free news to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hey, y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin, shall we go ahead and operate with transparency here and let the jurors know that this week's episode of Holding Court is brought to them by the Known Sick and Shut-In Committee? You definitely do.
Yeah, AKA the last, this is our version of an LLC, the last leg crew. Okay? Because when I tell you fumes, I have nothing.
I know. My poor baby. Yeah, Dustin had some dental issues going on. I did. Yeah, and what a trooper for just being willing to push through. And I ate at a restaurant in New York. I won't say the name because I'm not trying to do them dirty. But when I tell you it was fraudulent gumbo and shrimp all being served, just fraudulent. And this was a difficult morning for me to get it together. But
I'm very sorry about that, Ebony. I didn't know that had happened to you, but I am down. Once you feel better, we can go up there and cuss people out. I heard that there was a word, I think it's called lalocasia, and it is the feeling, like the release that you get from literally cussing someone out. This black scientist was speaking about it on Instagram that I saw. It's a real thing. So let's go up there and get us some. Okay,
right?
That's right.
I love it. Yeah, it was rough, but these particular headlines that we have for our jurors today were just so damn compelling, Dustin Ross, that we just had to push through and get it together. So I'm actually very, very excited about this rundown, huh?
We had to.
It was one of those dockets. Okay, y'all. So of course we're going to talk about the Barack Obama of it all. Kamala Harris, black men. Y'all know the vibes. We'll get into it, unpack all of that. And I really, really, really am happy that Dustin and I don't cross talk before shows, because Dustin, you are one of the black men whose political lens and cultural understanding I revere at the highest level. So I really want to know your take on all of it.
What a compliment. And I definitely have something to say about it. So
can't wait. I definitely knew. I knew you would. We'll get into that. Then we'll keep it going. We'll go ahead and talk about our city mayor currently, at least as of today's recording, Eric Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Adams, New York City mayor. Of course, y'all saw recently indicted on several counts. We'll talk about the nature of the legal, and then we'll just do a quick political kind of caveat because all things, kind of legal when it comes to New York, the politics are in unavoidable. We'll say it like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And then lastly, we're going to talk about a story that some might consider a feel-good story, heavy on some. I don't feel particularly good about it, but it does set me up to be able to explain in complete clarity, Dustin, why I am absolutely against the United States death penalty, but not for the reason that most might suspect. So we'll get into this fantastic actor, JJ Velasquez, who has been exonerated after serving,
That's right.
24 years of incarceration for a crime he never committed in the first place. So we'll get into that. So everyone now has seen the scathing, I'm going to say it's a bit scathing, takedown by Barack Obama of some, not all, and not even most, but he's speaking, I would say, pretty severely to some Black men voters. And let's just hear from the president himself on this one.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind, because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out? And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses? I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
Okay, so Dustin, this was Obama speaking to a room of Black supporters in Pittsburgh, of course, located in the state of Pennsylvania, an absolute must win for the Democrat nominee Kamala Harris's bid for presidency. So in this, of course, Dustin, we hear Barack Obama chastising, I think is the right word, Black men for some of their reluctance to fully support and vote for VP Kamala Harris. And he's getting this, I think it's important to kind of give some context here. This is not coming up out of the clear blue sky, right? This is coming from recent polls that are showing, at least per the polling, Dustin, that a segment of Black male voters, 25% roughly, are saying that they intend to vote for and support Donald Trump in this upcoming election. I'll get into some of the other contextual stuff, but let me just hear off the rip. What was your take?
Yeah, so as a Black man, I just want to first lead with saying that that's right. And I'm Black for real. I'm a real Black man, okay? But and I'll just leave it at
right,
that.
But you could go further, right? But we'll leave it there.
I'll just leave it at that. But what he said was necessary information for its intended audience. Now let's keep it right there on the word intended, right? Every Black man that I know and am personally in relationship with is voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay. Everyone that I know in my personal life. I don't know any Black men who have this contrarian rhetoric and all of these lofty, haughty ideals that they are demanding some sort of recognition of, that they don't demand from Donald Trump or anyone on the other side. for some reason, and I think for the specific reason that President Obama mentioned, her being a woman, there's a lot of men who are not willing to vote for her, even entertain her as a serious candidate, a serious choice, as the consummate decorated politician that she is. Okay, so let's start there. He wasn't talking to me. I'm not offended. I think what he had to say was necessary, and he was very direct and clear with what he said and who he was talking to. He was talking to people like Charleston White's ignorant, musty underarm ass. He was talking to people like that black gay guy Rob Smith online, I think is his name. These people who can take his tap dancing ass out of New York, since he has so much to say about it, right? But that's another story for another time. He's talking to them. He's talking to all these black men that I see on the internet that are popping up literally out of the cracks of the sidewalk with this ignorant ass conversation about how she ain't got nothing for black men. She just released a specific plan that has always been present. She just organized the information for you all. This is not really new shit. She just said, okay, since you don't want to dig for it, here it is specifically for you, black men. So he was talking to them niggas. That's not me. That's not the people that I associate with and know. Anyone with half of a brain, anyone with fellow feeling, empathy, and the logical ability to reason can come to the conclusion that they need to vote blue and vote for Harris Walls in November. That's really it. That's the long and short of it. There's nothing else to say. And if you have doubts that are not well founded, if you have questions that you are posing because you don't want an answer in the first place, you just want to poke a hole in her balloon, then he was talking to you. And you don't like how it felt because it hit you, because you knew that it was directed and intended for you. That's it. If you're voting for her, if you have an informed opinion, he wasn't fucking talking to you. And that being said, what he said was not a vicious, hateful, he wasn't calling y'all the names that Donald Trump calls people that he doesn't agree with. He wasn't insulting anybody. He just gave y'all literally what you needed, a good talking to. Okay, and that's what you needed. And so that's what it is. It's literally that simple. And if it hit you, if it don't apply, let it fly, like they say. But if that hit you, then maybe you need to dig a little deeper and figure out why you have the political opinion that you have and how you need to change.
Oh, it hit some
That's
people.
it.
We definitely know it hit some people, Dustin. I appreciate your perspective here, because I know a couple. I know a couple of black men who have said flat out, I definitely know a couple. Not the majority, and not even,
but some, nonetheless.
but some. And I'm gonna say it could possibly be enough, and I'll get to what I mean by enough in a minute. So yeah, Obama's very clear, right? As you're saying, Dustin, that he's specifically talking to those who are struggling with the misogyny piece. I mean, he just said it. Some of y'all aren't having the idea of a woman as president. He named it. And you're coming up with alternatives and other reasons. Those are those holes you're talking about, right, Dustin? The poking of the hole.
That's right.
Because you don't just want to say and stand on it, which personally I would respect more, but that's another story again. Okay?
Right.
You don't want to say, I'm not voting for no woman president, and I'm certainly not voting for a black woman president. Like, y'all just don't want to say it. And this is a conversation that there were fragments of around the Stacey Abrams of it all when she ran twice. In Georgia, rather. Yeah. So here we are, 2024. We are 22-ish days out of a presidential election, and this is a real conversation. Now, some Democrat, I appreciate Dustin saying, listen, if it don't apply, let it fly. I really like that, by the way. I'm going to be using that heavy rotation moving forward. But there are some other perspectives here. I want to share Wendell Pierce. Wendell Pierce is a Tony Award-winning actor. He's also, I think, a brilliant mind, somebody who's deeply involved in civic and community engagement. I've had the pleasure of conversing with him just a handful of times around these issues. We started correlating and conversing during Hurricane Katrina, because Wendell Pierce literally opened grocery stores in the wake of Katrina. Like, he's one of those voices, Dustin, that I'm going to say that is particularly credible, because he has really done the work. He has done the work, and he is doing the work. He had a different take. This is what his tweet, I'm not going to read it all, but this is his take on Obama's stern talking to. Wendell Pierce says on it's always Twitter for me. Awful message. The party has to stop scapegoating black men. Black men aren't the problem. White men and white women are. No other group votes at 87 to 90% for Dems, but black folk, men and women. That is a false flag. Black men voting for Trump is insignificant. This accusational tone, accusatorial tone will make some black men stay home, which is worse. Black men are questioning our party to find out what their loyalty for decades earns them. That's good. That's healthy. Democrats have the record to stand on and should embrace the challenge. But after touring this country, specifically engaging black men, I will not let my party leaders speak condescending towards them.
So here's the issue, right? Here's the issue. It's the arrogant, haughty attitude, right? I'm not gonna let you speak condescendingly to my black men. Okay, this isn't about that. This is bigger than just how what he said made you feel. It's about what he said. Number one. Number two, you're 100% right, Wendell Pierce. This is not the problem, but it's a problem. There is not one problem with the Democratic Party. There are several different problems and several different things that need to be addressed, and that's one of them. You can't deny that. So while I agree that the entire problem is not black men, that's a problem, though. There is a
So
problem,
let's slow it down.
and that is the piece he's missing.
Yeah, let's slow it down because people are going to start doing a whole lot after this election, Dustin, by way of "I told you so" and finger wagging and all that shit, right? If Kamala Harris is unsuccessful, if she loses this election,
God forbid, but yes,
I and it is a big if. I'm so sorry. I just have to say it plain. Okay, don't let the rallies and enthusiasm and plies fool y'all. Okay, this is a big fucking if.
You said implies.
I'm sorry. I just had to name that piece. Shout out to him and the advocacy he's doing. But don't be distracted, jurors, even by national polls that since she announced that she would be the candidate, have put Kamala Harris on top of Trump in national polling. Throw those polls out the window. They don't fucking matter, right? Until the day that the United States of America elects a president based on the popular vote, which is not today and never has been.
Right.
A national poll doesn't mean a damn thing. Let's be clear. So we're going to get into the states that do matter in 1 minute, but I just want to name this part. Dustin, I am wholeheartedly agreeing. Anybody with good sense will tell you, if she loses, it will not be the fault of black men. That's a false narrative. That part we all can agree on. And also,
yes,
I like how you framed it, Dustin Ross. It is a legitimate issue. Both things have to be true at the same time.
Yeah.
They just are. So let's look at some numbers, right? So while it is true, as Wendell Pierce says here, and many people know, black men are only second to black women in terms of all demographics that consistently and loyally show up to support Democrat candidates. That is absolutely true. Let's look at 2020. 80% of black men showed up and voted for Joe Biden. But we would be remiss, and this is what Obama was. See, Obama is speaking to the minutia and the nuance, and sometimes that can miss people. Obama said, yeah, y'all showed up 80% for Joe. Appreciate it. Absolutely do. But why is it not the 95% of black men that voted for me in 2008? Because that 15% difference, that's a difference. Okay?
A huge difference.
Especially when you start talking about the margins, which I'll get to in a second. It is also true that black men historically have done that. But let's just name this piece, Dustin. We're in an unprecedented territory. And that's Obama's point too, right? Like he's saying, I appreciate what y'all did for me at the polls. I appreciate what y'all did for Joe Biden at the poll. More or less, y'all showed up for Hillary Clinton at the poll. More or less. But let's be clear, y'all didn't show up for Hillary the way you showed up for me. Okay? We just have to name that.
Okay, let's.
Okay? And you've never been asked, black men of America, to go to the polls and vote for a candidate that looks like your mother, that looks like your sister, that looks like your daughter. It's an untested hypothetical because we've never had a black woman as the top of the ticket for any of these national races. Okay? So we're actually going to be learning in real time for the first time how y'all really get down and if y'all really fuck with black women like that. That's really what he's saying. Let's just get to it. Okay? Now, it's also true that Black men have been more supportive of Trump specifically as the Republican candidate than they have any Republican in a generation. That's just a fucking fact. It's true. Some polling says up to 18% of Black men voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Now, granted, he still lost, but 18% is significant. And recent polls, I'm going to repeat it. This is what Obama is talking about. Recent polls say that up to 25, a quarter, a fourth of Black men are saying that they do indeed plan to vote for Donald Trump. Now, many would argue that, okay, even if Trump got 25%, why are we not talking about the 57%, the 60% of white women voting for Trump, right? Because surely that is more of a difference maker than even up to 25% of Black men, right? That's a cohesive argument.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also,
it is.
the margins matter. I want to shout out my good sis Tesla and Figaro. We've been having
Shout out.
Tesla's brilliant on this shit, y'all. She's brilliant. She is a true community organizer in the sense of the word. She is on the ground. She's been on the ground for Michigan, the first Black woman to ever lead for Bernie Sanders. She flipped Michigan for Bernie. Bernie took it away from
Yes, she
Hillary. Yes,
did.
she did. And it's remarkable. So she really knows her shit. She knows what she's talking about. Tesla reminds us, right? Trump won Michigan in 2016. You know how many votes he won it by? Less than 11,000 in the state.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of Michigan, less than 11,000
Mm-hmm.
votes made the difference for Trump winning it. It works the other way too, right? Joe Biden won Georgia in 2020. Remarkable. First Democrat to win since Bill Clinton. Remarkable. Important victory. He won it by less than 12,000 votes.
That's why it
So the
matters.
margins,
Yep.
this race will be won on the fucking margins. Make no mistake about it. Let's look at the polls right now. And I'm not going to spend too much, but I really need y'all to see this. Every state that matters right now. So I'm talking about Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada. Okay, and Georgia. Every last one of them right now today, as we record this episode, Dustin Ross, they are in a statistical tie. Kamala and Trump. There is literally less
Yep.
than 1%, which is all with, and some might say 2. Okay, y'all might even see a poll that says she's up 3%. Don't get fucking excited about that. Please don't. That is still within the statistical margin of error.
Why? This is
Go
my
ahead.
issue, right? Every time we talk about the Black men that are not voting for Kamala Harris and or not voting in the election, why does the conversation always pivot into, well, the white women are the ones who are really not voting, or like, yes,
Because they have numbers.
yes, that
Yeah.
is true. But we are talking about the Black men. We don't need to make a comparison. The goal and the intention of starting that conversation is to encourage and inform more Black male voters to get their ass in the booth and vote. That's it. It does not have to be a, well, yeah, but they did it more. Yes. And that's another conversation that can be had.
That's the
But
white
right
women's
now,
problem conversation.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That was a Black man talking to our Black asses about what we're doing. That was our conversation. Yes, it was on a world stage because it should have been. It'll reach more of us that way. Stop leaning into the shame or guilt or embarrassment of what he said and listen to what the fuck he said and make the change and take your ass to vote. Stop dragging other voting groups into this conversation. You want to talk about these white women that need to show up and have a responsibility to do that, then let's have that conversation. But stop conflating the two.
And
Stop it.
that's really my overall take with the Obama of it all, Dustin. You just named it, right? Like the reality is I, Eboni K. Williams, am not a Black man. Neither are white women, neither are a lot of people that's got a lot to say about this particular dynamic, right? This particular moment from President Obama. The only people that have any real legitimate ability to critique it, affirm it, give real credible feedback on it
Address it in
are Black
general.
men,
Yeah.
period. This is a
Yes.
Black men's conversation. And I selfishly was glad he said it, whether I totally agree with every aspect of it, the tone, that, I'm really not really with the tone police. That's just not my thing. But I can see an argument
Yeah.
that says you catch more bees with honey and all that bullshit, fine, whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I
Though.
get
Like
it.
you said, whatever. Here's the big piece. Black women have been trying to engage in some aspect of this conversation. Like I said, the finger wagging around the Stacey Abrams piece. There are several Black women, some of my colleagues in this industry, that have told Black men for election after election, fall in line, get in line, stop doing that. It doesn't work, Dustin. It doesn't work. And I know why it doesn't work. And I'm really not particularly bothered that it doesn't work. That mandate of what Black men need to be doing, should at least be considering as they go to the polls for this and every election, it has to come from Black men. It must. It must. It absolutely must. And so whether you like it or not, last I checked, Barack Hussein Obama is still a Black man in America, and he has every right to speak to his fellow Black men. Period. And then I love that Wendell Pierce, the tweets continued, and ultimately he landed with a place where he's not in competition with the president, Obama, that is, and that they are working collaboratively. But I also think Wendell had a right to say his piece too, right?
He did.
I hear you, D. Dustin, you are.
I don't like how you said that to me. Well, motherfucker, what did he say to you, nigga? That's what I'm saying. Like we don't have time to get caught up. How many days you said we got? 22
today.
Days. We ain't got time to go back and forth. I don't like speaking condescendingly. All that test out bullshit, that's our problem now. I'm the blackest motherfucker, like T.S. Madison said, I'm the blackest motherfucker walking this earth. And I support nothing more than I support the advancement and sustainability of Black life in America. Okay? That being said, it's okay to be critiqued. It's okay to be measured in some. So it's okay to be assessed, especially by a fucking president who's also a Black man,
and the only one, by the way. He's singular. He is singular.
Get out of your ego.
Yeah, Barack Hussein Obama.
Get up out of your ego. Get up out of your pride. Listen and make the corrective action. That's what you do. That dialogue, the Wendell Pierce, I think he has done incredible work, which you highlighted. And he is a qualified voice. And this by no means diminishes anything he's done or said previously. But we don't need him saying, well, I ain't like how he said that to us, because you ain't finna put that on us, because there's other motherfuckers doing it too. We're not talking about them. And we're not talking about how he said it. What did he say? Because I'm sure at the end of the day, Wendell Pierce agrees with that. That Black men need the charge to get up and get our asses in the booth. So stop wasting time. Stop wasting time. That's my only.
I hear you. No, Dustin, you are severely pragmatic, and that's one of the things I absolutely adore about you. Just on GP, you are almost pure pragmatist, actually. So for you're like, yeah, I hear all that, and this ain't the time. Let's get to the business. That's Dustin Ross for you, and I love it. And everybody, how do I say this? Everybody cannot participate in your level of pragmatism, Dustin. That's just what it is. As much as I personally would love if they did, but no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, because we can't stretch it out too long. So go ahead, Ebony. But
listen. This is what we do know.
We might have to do a sidebar on this, because I got
listen. This is what we do know. History tells us that we will be revisiting this exact conversation in short order. How do we know it? Let me have a moment of just small flex, just casual flex. This exact show, the show y'all are listening to right now, Holding Court with Eboni K. Williams, season one, a handful of episodes in, Dustin Ross and myself sat down with who? Cedric Richmond. Okay. Shout out to Cedric Richmond. Shout out to New Orleans. Shout out to Morehouse. Yes. Anyway, we sat down with Cedric Richmond, who was then the newly appointed Biden senior advisor. We sat down with Cedric Richmond on November 4th, the year 2020. So this was 4 years ago. And we had a dynamic conversation where Dustin and myself asked Cedric these same fucking questions.
Same exact
In
question.
fact, I titled the episode, "We See You, Black Men, America's New Swing Voter." So it was an entire dialogue, y'all, about the power of the Black male vote, the fact that 2020 saw more Black male Republican support than we had seen in a generation, or multiple generations, actually. And while Biden ultimately won, Democrats got a problem. We named it then.
Yep.
We named it, and we weren't the only ones, but we certainly were some of them. We named it real
That's
time.
right.
So I will say this, Dustin, with the pragmatic piece, Dustin Ross has said it better than I can in this episode. Y'all know what to do. Turn your asses out, make it happen. And also, after this is all said and done, Dustin, Democrats still have a real problem because, respectfully, you're right. A lot of this blackmail agenda that's being rolled out here in the ninth inning has been floated and talked about. But if black men are waning in their support, election after election for Democrats, for whatever the fucking reason, how many times does that need to happen, Dustin, for whether it's Kamala Harris or the party at large to say, put the shit together, put it in one document, call it the black man's agenda, and disperse it before it looks and feels like a fucking afterthought?
I agree 150,000%. 150,000%. But that's going to require an organized effort after election day.
I agree with that. We gonna
and there's some work and focus.
We're gonna touch and agree, and we're gonna leave it.
All this black men for Harris shit does not stop on election day. The time for the Black Men for Harris organization is after she is elected president, in office, empowered, and then we can present an organized request.
Mandate.
Okay. Not even request, exactly, because words matter. Mandate.
Because I'm personalized.
But that's when you do it. And that's when you have the time for the proper research, the proper planning, the proper execution, because we're not up against the clock.
Right. And you don't have
I don't understand what's not fucking clicking for niggas specifically.
Well, here's the other piece. There's actually not a real legitimate alternative. I know it feels like it in Trump, but it's literally not. It's literally like, if you are for, let me just go real quick. I'm gonna just pick 3 of these pieces from Kamala's proposed plan. Again, late as hell. I agree in terms of the organized articulation of who it's targeting. But here it is. If you like the idea, if you're a black man and you like the idea of $1 million loans that are fully forgivable for up to $20,000 a pop for black male entrepreneurship, if you like that, well, then you got to vote for Harris, because Trump is not offering it. I'm just telling you, he's not offering it. If you like supporting vocational, because I hear a lot of black men talking about that, rightfully so, the reinstatement of vocations, trades in this country, okay, high-paying, skilled jobs. And
I love that. I love that.
All of it, yes. Well, then that's going to be a Harris thing. That's going to be a Kamala Harris thing, because Trump is not offering it. If you like the launching of health initiatives that focus on the mental health, the emotional well-being, and the physical health, the cardiovascular health of black men in America, well, you're going to have to actually vote for Kamala Harris, because, again, Trump is not offering it. Nope. So that's it. That's all on that. I'm going to close this up by doing something that I don't typically do, which is acknowledge, I think, the high value of a conversation that Roland Martin participated in. And I'm going to keep talking quickly as to not allow any interpretation of that. Where he was on a recent panel where he factually, he did this thing right. He factually broke down 4 other black men. Again, going back, y'all, I love this, and I'm going to say my piece because I've earned the right. And also, this is a black man conversation. So Roland Martin, a black man, talking to other black men, say, brothers, let's just get to it. Because what is this narrative of the Democrat Party has left black men behind and we have no place in the Democrat Party? Where is it coming from? And the younger brother said things like, well, we don't see ourselves represented in the party, Roland. And Roland said, well, tell me how that's the case when you're the highest ranking the highest ranking Democrat in all of Congress, which is your current minority speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, is very much so a black man. Very much.
Let's talk about the highest ranking military officials
black
right
man.
now.
There's 4 black people in the United States Senate. Only 3 of them were elected currently. And all 3 of them are what? Black men. The brother was like, well, what about the Supreme Court justice? Woman, and it's women. And brother was like, okay, well, let's address it. You've got Ketanji Brown Jackson. Finally, after 200 some years on the court finally has a black woman. You're correct. And also we had Thurgood Marshall, and we still have Clarence Thomas. Whatever you think about him, those are not one, but two black men have served on the court before there ever in life was a black woman on the court. So we're overrepresented per your own argument as black men. So, and currently today, there are more black men in the United States House of Representatives than there are black women. So this narrative, it's just a fake narrative that black women are more represented within the party. It's simply not true. And then, then Roland went on to other more policy-based things, right? Like there's a narrative that the party puts more money into the education of black girls. Well, no, only because we know that's not the case. Because when you start talking about budget allocations for public schools in America or each state, that's a line item that is not it's not even parceled out per gender. So there is no black girl bucket and black boy bucket. That doesn't exist. So I just, check it out if you.
And shout out to Roland Martin for doing that. That's effective.
That was important work.
That's effective work. That is what we need to be doing. Address the issues head on. He just saw he had a conversation with Vice President Harris. She didn't even been down to the fucking shade room. So I don't understand, like, at what point there has to be a willingness to understand. And if that does not exist, we're wasting our time.
And if not, just stand on it. And I say, I'm not voting for no woman. And then we can move on to other business.
That's right.
All right.
Because I'm ready to whoop some ass. I done got mad. I done got upset. So
the young son of Flint is not feeling it.
Oh, man. God, like. Anyway, go ahead, E. I'm sorry.
Hey, podcast listeners. Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcast? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy by downloading the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free news. That's amazon.com/ad-free news to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Armoire makes getting dressed super easy. With its clothing rental membership, you can build the perfect wardrobe with brands that are high quality, unique, and they're recommended just for you. Listen, you start with a simple 5-minute style quiz, and then you get personalized dynamic closet for you. I just did it. I just ordered, right? And it was so fun. They asked me if my style is feminine or classic or bohemian. And y'all know me. I'm all of them, so it was great. Listen, we all know that feeling, right? You open your closet door, it's full of stuff, but we have nothing to wear. Enter Armoire. Armoire allows you to rent high-quality designer fashions for every occasion. And my favorite part is when I'm done wearing it, I just send it back. Armoire is also women-founded and women-led. I love that I can support a business that is built from the ground up by women just like me. So listeners, right now, you can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off your first month. That's a savings of up to $125. Just visit armoire.style/court. That's armoire.style, ARMOIRE.style/court. And you can get up to 50% off your first month, and you never have to worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today. Okay, we're going to move on to our neck of the woods here, New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Speaking of black men in America in elected office, and for some of y'all don't know it, Eric Adams is only the second black man to ever be mayor of New York City.
Think about that.
And now, speaking of the Democratic Party and their over obsession with black women, let's talk about the black women who've ever been mayor of New York City. Oh, there are none. Okay, got it. No problem. I'm sorry. I'll move on though. I had to just name it. All right, Mayor Adams has been indicted on 5 counts, including bribery, fraud, soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations. Investigations began back in 2021. This is when the allegation says this, y'all, that he was engaging top officials with the Turkish government. This was back when he was Brooklyn Borough president, so this was before he was mayor, and saying that in that engagement with the Turkish foreign government, Eric Adams personally was receiving campaign contributions and also upgrades. We'll get into the upgrades in a second because that's just kind of fun, right? And in exchange for receiving these upgrades and campaign contributions, he acted on behalf of the Turkish government. So this is according to Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's the same U.S. Attorney leading up the conviction of Sean Combs. Very busy in the Southern District of New York these days, huh, Dustin Ross?
I mean, the doors is just, how are they keeping the doors closed? How?
Yeah, it's a lot going on. So Assistant U.S. Attorney Damian Adams says this was a multi-year scheme to buy favor with a single New York politician on the rise, Eric Adams. Year after year, he kept the public in the dark. According to the indictment, Eric Adams sought and accepted, and heavy on sought, right? Because that's going to be a part of the argument from the prosecutors, is that he solicited, he put himself in position, Dustin, versus, and not that it makes a bunch of legal difference, but when you're talking to a jury, this type of thing could move the needle.
Absolutely. Yes.
You came into the position, got the trust of the public as borough president of Brooklyn, and said, now somebody make me feel special, make me feel good, Turkey. And sought and accepted improper valuable gifts. And this is going back, they say, in the indictment, Dustin, all the way 10 years, 2014. They say, now what do the benefits look like? What are these perks? What is the they are there? Well, they're saying Eric Adams sought and received luxury travel. So we're talking about business class seats on Turkish Airlines. Have you ever flown on Turkish Airlines, Dustin?
No.
I flew on it one
I have
time.
not.
It did have, it was business class. I actually paid / used Amex points for it. It was a lovely experience.
Oh, you didn't ask Turkey?
No, I didn't. You know, I thought that would not be particularly wise.
Okay. Okay.
No, I actually just went in my own pocketbook and went into my own resource stash and treated myself to a business class flight on Turkish Airlines. But I do want to let the jurors know they have not experienced it. It is a sight to behold. They give you these little candles by your dinner. I mean, you literally have a candlelight dinner in the air. It's nice, and the food's delicious. Anyway, Eric Adams said he didn't want to pay for it. He said, make it enough. He asked the Turkish government to pay for it, so he enjoyed it at their expense. He also had like upgraded suites at very lavish hotels. I think the St. Regis, he was in the Bentley suite. I mean, he was doing a lot in terms of that, free meals, all that shit. And again, in exchange, now, this is the legal part. In exchange, prosecutors are saying that Eric Adams pressured New York officials, going all the way up to the New York Fire Department, so that's very serious, to issue a permit to allow a new Turkish consulate building right here in Manhattan, despite the fact that it actually had safety problems and was not qualified for the full permit at that time. But apparently the government has a fire department official willing to testify that he was told if he didn't make it enough, so to speak, and approve this consulate, that he would lose his job. So that's the bribery, that's the fraud, that's the indictment piece. What did you think when you saw this come down, Dustin?
I shook my head. Again, I don't want this to be the bashing black men show, because I am a black man.
No, we're about to get to
but god damn, like Eric Adams, I thought this was shameful and reprehensible. I'll just leave it at that.
Do you think he should step down? Do you think he should step down?
Yes, I do. And I think that it looks very bad that he's unwilling to. And this whole fight shit, it just sounds really familiar. So, yeah.
Could it be? Yeah, I mean, let's just name it, right? So I'm of two minds. I think if we're operating around the best interest of the citizens of New York City, Eric Adams should resign. Because for the simple fact, not because he's guilty, because I'm not saying that, and I know you're not saying that either, Dustin. Not because he's guilty, because he has certainly not been tried in any court of law that I know of, and
he's entitled to that.
He is constitutionally entitled to his same presumption of innocence as Sean Combs and everybody else, Trump. Everybody else, except for the things Trump has already been convicted of. I digress. So Eric Adams should not resign because he is guilty. No, I do think he should resign in terms of the best interest of New Yorkers, so that Eric Adams could do what I think most people would want to do if they were looking at 5 federal indictments. And that is focus on your defense. That is be able to
That's
put
right.
all of your time, energy, and efforts into mounting the best possible legal defense to preserve your liberty in this country. Now, if I'm asked, should he resign from the perspective of the best interest of Eric Adams? Hell to the no. Hell no. And that's why he's showing up in defiance, Dustin. Because the last powerful thing Eric Adams has is that he's still the fucking
The
mayor.
mayor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today, he's the
Yeah.
mayor. Yesterday, he was walking around with a banner and a parade and shit. I think it was the Italian Day, some shit. He is still the sitting mayor of the most powerful city in the entire world. And the second he gives that up or is removed, because keep in mind, jurors, if you don't know, now you know, the only person that has the power to remove him is Governor Kathy Holcomb. She has chosen not to do so at this time. Instead, urging him to basically clean up, like get rid of some motherfuckers around you. That's basically what she told him, and then I'll consider allowing you more time. Anyway, Eric Adams, if you're operating from the best interest of Eric Adams, would be a fool to resign.
Yeah.
Because that would be giving up your last place of influence and or power, which you
For
just might
sure.
need if you're Eric Adams and you're about to walk into the fight of your fucking life.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
so
You can't argue with that.
exactly.
That's just
Mhm.
logical. Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. That's all on that, jurors. More to come on that. We just wanted to go ahead and give y'all some foundational perspective there. Serious charges. Fine. Now, some of y'all might be hearing that. Keep in mind that the government right now is saying that the total value of the hotel rooms, business class flights on Turkish Air, illegal campaign contributions. We're not really talking about a ton of money by way of political corruption. They're talking about over 100,000, but no one's saying millions.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one's saying millions.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that, Dustin? Before I finish this one up.
Well, I thought that meant that they were looking
Mhm.
for something to,
Wow.
they knew that there was something to be
Mhm.
found, and they were looking for something to nail his ass with.
Wow.
And so, although it wasn't millions and millions of dollars, it was
It was
enough
enough.
for them to do exactly what they did. That's what I
Yeah.
think. They was on Eric Adams' ass, and while he had his head all up the police's ass and all that other shit, you see now when them bracelets are on you,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily all about running over dirt bikes anymore with a steamroller and all that other shit. And the police power. It's not about that
Yeah.
right now. You done fucked up, Eric Adams, being sloppy, irresponsible, and
Yeah, you're
unethical.
sleepy showing.
That's what you
Yeah, you're
did.
sleepy showing.
You know what I
Yeah, and when
mean?
you say other shit, some are saying no evidence of this yet.
Mhm.
Some are saying that this could be because keep in mind, this is, of course, these are federal charges. These are not state charges here. These are the feds. So some are saying that this could be a response, Dustin, to, frankly, the Biden administration and the federal government's now kind of volatile relationship that the administration, Biden and them have with Eric Adams as city mayor around the migrant crisis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That shit
Mhm.
went real sour real fast, and Eric Adams has been very public in his critique of the federal government's response. Again, I'm certainly not saying illegitimate critique or legitimate critique. I'm just saying he's been loud about it, and some are saying that this has created the window for this type of what could look like kind of
Yeah.
insignificant, impropriety. So a lot of
That sounds
yeah,
plausible.
it's listen, a lot of conspiracy theories out there. We're not going to get into that, but I'm just laying some
Yeah,
things
because
out
this
there
ain't
for
that
jurors'
serious.
considerations. But when we have more facts, we will come right back to this case. We will keep y'all right up to date as we always do here on Holding Court.
Hey, podcast listeners. Tired of ads barging into your favorite news podcasts? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy by downloading the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free news. That's amazon.com/ad-free news to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Lastly, actor JJ Velasquez. This is a brother who served 24 years y'all, 24 years in the penitentiary. And he has been released finally from Sing Sing Correctional Facility. He was released back in 2021, again, after serving 24 years. I can't say it enough time because 24 years, that's a whole, that's literally somebody's lifetime. That's somebody's lifetime. He was sentenced to 25 years to life, allegedly for murdering a retired New York City police officer back in 1998. Ultimately, his conviction was overturned, and this was after a decade-long investigation done by none other than Dateline NBC. Shout out to Dateline, who throughout their journalistic pursuit were able to find new evidence. And so this is really remarkable. So following his release, JJ Velasquez began working on a film produced by A24 called Sing Sing. This is starring Oscar-nominated actor Coleman Domingo, which Coleman, who's having a better year than Coleman Domingo, my God.
Well deserved. Such a talented, gifted
And
performer.
fine as hell.
Yes.
Anyways, yes, absolutely. Anyways, JJ Velasquez has been starring in this film alongside Coleman. Mr. Velasquez is currently 48, again, after serving 24 years. So he spent basically most of his adult life in Sing Sing. And he's calling this, just something that some people are surprised by. He's saying that the exoneration was ultimately not a good news story, not a feel-good story. Some people see it that way. He says, oh no, let's be clear. My exoneration is a, quote, indictment of the system of justice. He goes further saying, I was kidnapped by this country and enslaved. This is not a celebration. This is an indictment of the system. And I couldn't agree with him more, huh?
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. And I think too many times that when we see these exoneration stories after people have served, I don't care if it's one day, but certainly when they've served 10 years, 20 years, 30 years or whatever, and then there's new DNA evidence or there's new evidence or there's a new witness willing to be more honest or recalling differently. And we celebrate that as justice. When the truth is, it is absolutely the ultimate indictment of injustice. And y'all, this is why I actually don't support the death penalty. This is why it's not, because let me be clear, and some will disagree, and that's fine. I do believe there are some crimes that are committed that are worthy of death being the ultimate punishment. And I know that's a hot take for some, but I do believe that. And I also know that there have just been too many examples in American judicial history where things like what happened here to JJ Velasquez happened, where after the fact, new witnesses, new evidence, new DNA, new testing have shown that after all of that, the jury got it wrong. The judge got it wrong. And that this should have never been a conviction in the first place. And the only thing, Dustin, about when it's the death penalty versus life in prison, see, you can't actually let somebody out of death.
There you go. I understand. I agree.
But you can't, and you can give them a little check. That's what they do when they pat you on the head and say, go be great. We're so sorry for the inconvenience of taking your entire fucking adult life.
What can you possibly even offer?
But as awful as that is, Dustin, when we are killing people at the hands of state and federal government and we get it wrong, which has happened, you can't undo that piece. You can't undo that shit. You cannot let somebody out of death. So that's actually why I'm totally against the death penalty, for that very specific reason.
Yeah. I get it. I agree. And that makes perfect sense. Anyone that, again, this is the episode of logical reasoning ability, right? And so if you have that, then you can follow. You can follow and you can arrive at that same conclusion because it's sensible. I agree. Even though I agree with everything you said, Ebony, there are some crimes that I feel like a motherfucker should go down in the dirt
I think
for.
so.
Okay. But again, our justice system is so imperfect and flawed and broken and fucked up and racist systematically that we end up in these situations, and God forbid someone's life was taken away from them that didn't deserve it. So.
And we know it has happened. So yeah, absolutely. Well, we will end on I do want to go back to Coleman Domingo for a second because why not?
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know what you thought when you saw that the 2025 Met Gala will be celebrating the Black Dandy.
The Black Taylor. I want to go. That's what I thought. I want to go.
Let's be clear.
I want to go. There has never been a year. I've always wanted Like, we hook us up. Anna, if you listening, shit, any of Anna's friends, homegirl, we want to
You can actually give us Eric Adams ticket. No, just wait.
Okay. Hey, he had an entourage anyway, so he probably
got a whole table. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you have to buy them anyway. So so somebody, maybe the Turkish, I don't know if the Turkish government bought them or what. But kidding. That's a joke for those that
follow the money,
wound tight.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So but no, wonderful theme this year. I'm so excited to see how everybody shows up and represents, and the fact that this is about the way we do it, I'm very excited about. So I cannot wait to see everybody show up and show out. And by the grace of God, if there's any way we can put some threads on and go, we going.
Stranger things have happened, Dustin Ross. I would not put it past the favor that God has bestowed on the two of us. Well, at least one of us. Baby. I'll be on the outside, but I'll be clapping because this is a celebration of Black men, actually. Let's be clear.
Yeah, it is. But you're going to, it's both of us.
Yeah. Kind of like, And also, this is about Black men.
That's
and I'm
right.
going to say this. I kind of, I want to say that I didn't predict, because this is so unprecedented, that literally all 5 co-chairs of the Met Gala this year are all Black men. Who is it? It's A$AP Rocky. It's
Coleman Domingo.
It's Lewis Hamilton.
Let me look it up. Yes, it's absolutely.
Pharrell Williams, obviously, and LeBron James is chair.
Yes. Yep.
And Coleman just wiped the floor with everybody last year at the carpet. Like, of all the looks, and Zendaya's 2 looks and all, and shout out to all of them. Just everybody looked whack to me, except by compared to Coleman. They really did.
I get it. He had a great year. He's continued to show up, and I love the way that he's really embracing like the fashion component of being a movie star. I love that. He looks like a star, and he carries the presence of a movie star.
And this generation needs some stars. Got a lot of influencers, and we need some fucking stars. And I think that's a good way to wrap the show. Y'all join us again next week. We'll hold the court. We'll be right back in session. In the meantime, y'all stay safe. It's time to go ahead and get those coats out.
Unfortunately, it is. Yes.
Yep. Now we may have a reprieve, but right now when we're recording this, get the coats out. It's
a little nippy outside. That's right. So cover your chest up. You know what I'm saying? Put a little Vicks under your nose. If you got children, put Vaseline on their face before they go get on the bus in the morning. Y'all know the old school things. We have to protect the recipe, keep the recipes, y'all.
And somebody politely told me, Dustin, put a coat on that baby. Put a coat on that baby.
Put a coat on that baby.
Because if you need a coat, the baby need a coat.
That's right. It's that. Lady Liberty, baby. Okay.
All right, y'all. What you want the people to do, Dustin?
Read your terms and conditions and vote for Kamala Harris for president. That's what I want y'all to do.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.